Hello, questers, and welcome to the Lore Library, where we take a deep dive into the histories and secrets of the D&D multiverse, or in this case, the Forgotten Realms, unearthing lore that you can bring straight into your Dungeons & Dragons campaigns. In today's episode, we're stepping into the heart of nature to explore one of Faerun's most mysterious and resolute factions, known as the Emerald Enclave, as voted by our patrons and YouTube members. The Emerald Enclave is a diverse organisation of druids, rangers, and other nature worshippers who are devoted to preserving the natural order across the realms. But their purpose runs deeper than simply protecting the wilderness. The Enclave is all about balance, ensuring that civilization and nature don't overwhelm one another. While they're often seen as protectors of the wilds, they're equally wary of unchecked civilization and the dangers that it can bring. Their watchful eye extends across Faerun, intervening when they see the delicate balance is tipping too far in either direction. The Emerald Enclave traces its roots to the island of, and forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Illiron, nestled in the Vilhon Reach. From their base on this secluded island, the Enclave have spread its influence across the western coast and beyond. Despite their tranquil surroundings, the members of the Emerald Enclave are actually far from passive. They stand ready to defend nature specifically against those who would seek to exploit it, whether that happens to be overzealous loggers, greedy nobles, or even magical calamities. The Enclave's philosophy centers on three core tenets: that the order of nature must be preserved, and that nature's cycle from life to death must be respected and maintained; that threats to that order must be defeated, whether it's an unnatural plague or a force threatening to disrupt the balance. The Enclave is always committed to stamping it out. And the third and final tenet is that aid must be given to those who are in need. The Enclave doesn't just fight threats, they also help those who are struggling to survive out in the wild. After all, nature can be harsh, and not everybody is very well equipped to handle it. And these guiding principles ultimately shape every decision that the Enclave makes. They're not particularly interested in good or evil as we traditionally understand it. For them, it's about neutrality and ensuring no force grows too strong, whether it's an unchecked civilization or even a rampaging beast. The Emerald Enclave isn't just a loose collection of druids wandering the wilds, though. They have a structured hierarchy that's actually divided into circles. Each of these circles has its own duties and place within the structure of the order. And when a member first joins, they begin in the Circle of Initiates, where they learn the basic tenets of the Enclave and their role within it. And as they grow in skill and understanding, they move through other circles, such as the Circle of Earth and the Circle of Air. Some circles focus on very specific tasks, such as Eldath's Circle, which protects waterways, or the Planar Circle, which is composed of those who venture into other planes of existence to either gather knowledge or to protect the balance there, or both. And at the very top of this hierarchical structure of circles is the Elder Circle, or the Circle of Three. And this is the highest authority within the Enclave. These powerful druids and spiritual leaders are revered not only for their wisdom, but for the divine blessings that they receive from their patron deities. Interestingly, as well, the Enclave isn't exclusively druidic. Whilst druids make up the bulk of their membership, you'll also find ragers, clerics, bards, and even non-spellcasters devoted to nature have been welcomed into their ranks. The only requirement for being a member of the Emerald Enclave is a commitment to maintaining balance and neutrality. Members must steer clear of both good and evil alignments. The Emerald Enclave has a bit of a reputation across Faerun, as it's as much feared as it is respected. They're known for intervening swiftly and decisively when nature is threatened, and villagers will tell tales of sudden storms or wild creatures appearing seemingly out of nowhere to disrupt those who would defile the land. But the Enclave isn't all doom and retribution. They're also known for helping those who are lost in the wilds or bringing rain to drought-stricken lands. Historically, the Emerald Enclave has clashed with kingdoms and organizations whose ambitions would threaten the natural world. For instance, their strict regulation of logging and hunting practices in regions like the Villain Reach has put them at odds with nations like Chondath and Termish within the Forgotten Realms. And the Enclave's approach is pretty simple. Use nature's resources responsibly, or risk the Enclave's wrath. And the Enclave's influence actually extends beyond the material plane. Through the planar circle, they're actually able to keep watch over the elemental forces, ensuring that they don't do too much that would cause them to spiral out of control. Magic itself actually is something that sometimes the Emerald Enclave would monitor quite closely as well. They're deeply wary of magic used on a large scale, believing that it could lead to disasters like the Rotting Wars, which was a conflict that devastated the land several centuries ago. If you are a player and you want to create a character who might be a member of the Emerald Enclave, then think about the things that might drive your character to maintain nature's balance. Are they a druid deeply attuned to the cycles of life and death? A ranger perhaps tasked with hunting down those who exploited the land? Or maybe even a bard spreading the Enclave's teachings through stories and song? Your character would naturally, if they were a member of the Emerald Enclave, prioritize protecting nature. But they wouldn't necessarily see civilization as an outright enemy. Instead, they would encourage sustainable practices and seek to guide others towards respecting the natural world. In social encounters, they might very well be pragmatic, seeking compromise when possible, but equally being willing to act decisively when any balance is being threatened. Now, if you're a dungeon master and you want to incorporate the Emerald Enclave into one of your campaigns, think about how they could serve as both allies and antagonists, depending on what story you might want to tell. They could, for example, send a group of PCs on a quest to stop a mage experimenting with some unstable magic, or ask for help defending a sacred grove from greedy loggers. And on the flip side, if your party happens to include industrialists or individuals who try to push the boundaries of magic, they might actually find themselves at odds with the Enclave's agents. Again, citing that difficult relationship they can often have with magic. The Enclave's influence can be felt in any environment as well, and that's something to consider when you're DMing a campaign that might include some Emerald Enclave NPCs. They can be found from bustling cities to remote forests. For example, their members could be spies in a logging town, druids protecting sacred sites, or even sages with knowledge of ancient nature magic. Consider then how the Enclave's presence can challenge your players with moral dilemmas that might blur the line between civilization and the wild. In conclusion then, the Emerald Enclave is more than just a group of tree-hugging druids. They're guardians of balance, arbiters of neutrality, and staunch defenders of nature's cycles. Whether they're friends or foes, they can bring a depth and richness to any campaign with their unwavering commitment to maintaining harmony in the natural world. So my friends, thank you very much for joining me in this exploration of the Emerald Enclave. If you have any stories about your own experiences with the Enclave, or even ideas on how to feature them in a campaign, then please do share them in the comments for everybody to see. And as always, keep those wits sharp and your hearts attuned to the balance of nature. Thanks very much for tuning in. and I will catch you next time.